Welcome to Chez, the place of new beginnings. My name is Catherine Hubert, and I founded and own a French-inspired cafe where, as a team, we are on a mission to change the way our world views and employs adults with disabilities. Our restaurant was born and is based in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that's where we practice and teach our mission and model. This is our channel where we dive in deep to who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Our hope is that this content is empowering to disabled and non-disabled humans alike, and that no matter what perspective you are coming from, whether that's employer, employee, parent, friend, or Chez fan, you feel welcomed, you learn something new, and you walk away with a deeper appreciation and understanding of humanity. Okay, we've officially entered that season where it's just dark. And I know that everybody, like the internet has blown up talking about daylight savings, so I don't need to spend a lot more time on it. This is more so in reference to there's now no longer at this time of day really light that is coming in directly. So it may seem a little bit, we had a moodier vibe going on. But welcome back. We are here to talk about part 2, continuing our disability employment myths. Last week was part 1. We dove into 4 different myths that we feel like we commonly experience or hear or see played out through our work. And we want to invite you into this conversation and the process of dispelling those myths and rewriting some of those thoughts and beliefs. So we're excited today to continue that conversation with 4 more myths. These were ones, the first 4 were ones that I had brainstormed on my own, and then these last 4 are ones that we did together as a team in our leadership meetings. So this is coming from kind of the broader Chez work family. So number 5, we'll pick up there. Number 5, the 5th disability myth is that because we hire people with disabilities, we as a business are good or are doing good. And this is a compliment and feedback that we hear pretty regularly from people who come in to eat or who are friends or who kind of know who we are and what we're doing. And while it's so nice to have the affirmation or the recognition that we're an ethical business and that we care about our team and we care about our city and the way that all of those things tie together, we do want to push back against this idea that hiring disabled employees makes us either benevolent, it makes us morally superior, it makes us better than. And the reason behind that, or one of the reasons behind that, is that feeds into a deeper belief or understanding that someone with a disability is someone to be pitied or to take pity on, or that needs to receive charity. And those themes have been kind of long-standing within the disability realm and world, and is something that we're actively trying to push against. We want to see equal employment opportunities for people with disabilities, but this is not us being benevolent, charitable. There's a benefit for us with our team. I hire people that I think are going to be a good fit for our team, that are going to help make my business successful. They're going to help it to run efficiently, that have the skill set to do all of those things. And then as a result, we have a restaurant that people like to come to and that they feel welcomed in and that they enjoy the food and all of that. So just kind of dispelling, we're not good because of what we do. We hope to be good at what we do, but that's an entire team process, and every single person on our team is part of making that happen. It's not just ownership down to staff. So I was going to say number 2, but I forgot. We're continuing the 5. So 6. Number 6 is that disability prevents someone from doing good work. This can be detected in comments like, "We really love what you're doing. We love your mission, and the food is really good too." Like this surprise, like we can't believe that you guys have good food, or wow, the service is really great. Like I thought that you hired people with disabilities, or I thought my server had a disability, but they are really, they're amazing at their job. And so there is, I think, still a cultural view or belief, or again, myth, whichever one of those that you want to call it or ascribe to it, that someone with a disability presents inferior work. There's less quality, less consistency, and that's not true. Being good at your job and having a disability is not mutually exclusive. Those two things can coexist and do all the time. And so we want to, again, kind of push back against that belief that if you have a disability, it means your work is going to suffer. That is not the case. Number 7, a myth that it's too expensive to hire people with disabilities, and that as a business, you're going to incur additional expenses if you hired disabled employees. So there are some additional expenses that you may take on as a business when hiring people with disabilities, mostly in terms of making a space accessible or providing certain adaptions. I think that will change. My hope is that will change in the future, because really what that means is that the standard is still set at a place that is not accessible for people with disabilities, which means that to make it accessible, you are taking on an additional expense. Rather than saying, as a society, we need to change the standard so that it's no longer an additional expense. That's just part of the expense of operating and having a business. It's not in addition to, it just is part of the built-in costs for establishing a business that is accessible to all people. It's just that a lot of our world has been set up with non-disabled humans in mind, and then as a result, making it more inclusive to people with disabilities does feel like you're adding on. But I think that's because our metric and our baseline needs to shift, not because employing someone with a disability costs more money. I'll also add to that any additional expenses that we have taken on in order to make our space more accessible or adaptive have truly had a payout back for the business, because it's meant that information was accessible, that my team understood what the job was, the task was, that they have the tools or the equipment that they need to accomplish a task. So I'm setting myself up for success in providing those things as well, and I'm also setting up my team for success. So it is a win. It is a win-win. And for business that are taking on some more of those expenses, there are different tax credits. That would be a different conversation as a whole, but just to kind of put that seed out there, there are some tax credits and benefits that are available when you are taking on expenses in order to make a space to make your business more accessible. And then number 8, the last one for today, is that people with disabilities only want or are only capable of entry-level or mundane tasks. This is something that I experience and encounter mostly as we're starting to partner with other businesses who are looking to make their spaces more adaptive, or organizations who are wanting to expand in that way. There's this thought of like, oh, well, someone with a disability would be a great fit here because this business or this job offers entry-level, monotonous, or mundane tasks. Or, oh, over here, like you'd be working on more of a factory line where you just do the same thing over and over again. And I would say that that's selling someone with a disability short. It is pigeonholing. It's setting the ceiling very low. All of those catchphrases apply here, that a person with a disability is a person who has different interests, who have different skill sets, different talents, different goals, different dreams, and that's going to play out in work differently. You're a different person. Not everybody with a disability is the same. So if each person is their own individual person, then what they want to do for work and how they do work is also going to be different, the same as it would be for a non-disabled human. And there are people with disabilities and people without disabilities who want to have entry-level, monotonous tasks, and there are people with disabilities and without disabilities who don't want to have that as their job. So providing options that cover multiple fields, multiple tasks, etc., is really important. And again, just not presuming or assuming that you know what someone wants to do because you understand that they have a disability, but being willing to get to know that person as their own person first. So those are our 8 myths that we wanted to dispel, that we will continue to talk about probably in many other shapes and forms, because they are big ones and we hear them a lot. And they're sneaky, those narratives, they're so sneaky. They get into our minds, and then that plays out in the way that we talk about things, the way that we think about things, and a lot of that happens on a subconscious level. And so that's why we were wanting to have these conversations, to bring things more into the open, to start to parse through and really think about, like, what do we believe and how does that impact the way that we show up in the world and we treat other humans. So within your personal life or within the workplace. So that's it for today. If you're disabled and you watch our channel and there are other myths that you feel like you know that you want to share with us, please feel free to drop those below. If this is new information to you, you're kind of getting introduced to us for the first time, and you have questions or thoughts, we would also love to read those and to respond. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Happy month of darkness. Try to get the sunlight where you can and stay as happy as you can over the winter. And we will see you next week.